The world was left in shock when news broke that Elon Musk's daughter had been kidnapped. Panic and fear rippled across social media, news outlets, and the families of millions who followed every headline about the tech billionaire. How could something like this happen to a family with the highest level of security? Cameras, guards, and advanced protection systems all seemed like unbreakable barriers. But someone had found a way through. The audacity of the crime was terrifying, and the questions were endless. Who was behind this? What was their motive? And how did they manage to execute such a perfect plan without leaving a trace? As the investigation unfolded, authorities revealed details that seemed almost unbelievable. The kidnapper was not just bold, he was meticulous, calculated, and frighteningly intelligent. Every step was planned in advance: surveillance, timing, escape routes, even the psychological pressure on the family. Experts said it was unlike any ordinary kidnapping, and the tension only grew as the world waited for answers. Inside law enforcement agencies, elite teams worked around the clock, piecing together tiny fragments of evidence, digital clues, and eyewitness accounts. Each new lead brought them closer, but the criminal was clever, leaving almost nothing behind. Meanwhile, the family endured unimaginable fear, clinging to hope that the child would be found unharmed. Tonight, we uncover the shocking truth behind the kidnapping, the criminal's twisted plan, and the extraordinary operation that finally led to the arrest. This is the story of one of the most daring abductions in modern history, and the dark motives that drove a man to target Elon Musk's daughter. It began like any other day for Elon Musk's family, a morning filled with routines and quiet moments inside their heavily secured home. But outside, an unseen threat was already in motion. Authorities later revealed that the kidnapper had been observing the property for weeks, carefully studying schedules, security patterns, and even the smallest vulnerabilities. He knew when the family would be at home, when guards would be least attentive, and when traffic patterns would provide him with the perfect window to strike. On that fateful day, everything unfolded in a matter of minutes. Witnesses in the neighborhood reported seeing a suspicious vehicle lingering near the property. But by the time anyone realized what was happening, the kidnapper had already struck. Security personnel, trained for emergencies, rushed to respond, but the man moved with shocking speed and precision, leaving minimal evidence behind. The family was thrown into chaos, fear gripping every member as they tried to comprehend what had just happened. News of the kidnapping spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with speculation, conspiracy theories, and frantic messages from concerned fans around the world. Even in the face of advanced surveillance technology and elite protection teams, the criminal had managed to evade immediate capture. Authorities described him as unusually methodical, leaving almost no fingerprints, avoiding digital tracking, and taking care not to be seen by cameras. The initial investigation became a race against time. Detectives pored over surveillance footage, traffic cameras, and eyewitness accounts, piecing together what had occurred in the crucial minutes surrounding the abduction. Every lead, no matter how small, was scrutinized. Analysts worked tirelessly to determine his possible escape routes and safe houses, while Elon Musk and his family remained in constant communication with law enforcement, praying for a miracle. It quickly became clear that this was not a random act of crime. The level of planning and precision suggested that the kidnapper had a motive far deeper than money alone. He had studied the family's life with almost obsessive attention, understanding patterns, habits, and routines that few outsiders could ever know. Authorities realized they were dealing with a criminal unlike any they had encountered before, a man whose intelligence, patience, and audacity made him extraordinarily dangerous. As the investigation continued, the world watched anxiously, waiting for answers. What had motivated this crime? Could the child be found safely? And would law enforcement be able to anticipate the next move of a man who seemed always to be one step ahead? This chilling opening marked the beginning of a high-stakes chase, a race to save Elon Musk's daughter from a criminal whose mind operated in shadows, far beyond the reach of ordinary law and order. As the investigation into Elon Musk's daughter's kidnapping deepened, authorities began to uncover the criminal's background, and what they found was both alarming and revealing. He was no ordinary kidnapper. Records showed a long history of criminal activity, ranging from petty thefts to more serious offenses. But what truly distinguished him was his ability to remain undetected while meticulously planning his moves. He was intelligent, calculating, and patient, the type of criminal who studied his targets with almost obsessive precision. Investigators discovered that he had spent months monitoring Elon Musk's life, following public appearances, analyzing social media updates, and even mapping out the family's daily routines. It became clear that this was not a spur-of-the-moment crime. Every action he took was carefully calculated to avoid detection while maximizing control over the situation. Experts suggested that his motivations were not purely financial. There seemed to be a personal, almost psychological component driving him. Friends, acquaintances, and former colleagues described him as a man who could charm and manipulate those around him while hiding a dark, methodical side. Digital footprints revealed careful planning, communications with unknown contacts, research on advanced security systems, and visits to areas near Musk's properties. Law enforcement pieced together a profile of a man who combined intelligence with obsession, someone who could remain calm under pressure and think several steps ahead of even the most seasoned investigators. Psychologists consulted on the case noted that the criminal displayed traits of high-functioning obsession. While many kidnappers act impulsively, he exhibited patience and attention to detail that bordered on meticulous artistry. Each previous attempt, each minor crime he committed, appeared to have been a rehearsal, preparing him for the day he would strike at one of the world's most high-profile families. Authorities also found that he had a network of contacts and potential safe locations, showing that the abduction was not only planned, but also supported by a system of preparation that allowed him to remain mobile and elusive. Every element, from timing the abduction to choosing the escape route, was designed to reduce risk and ensure success. The more investigators learned about him, the clearer it became that the criminal's mind was as dangerous as his actions. This was not someone acting out of desperation. He was acting out of fixation, a desire to challenge one of the most protected families in the world. The discovery of his background made it evident why law enforcement had to approach the case with extreme caution. One wrong move could have jeopardized the child's safety. By mapping his history and behavior, authorities began to anticipate his next moves. Every pattern, every habit revealed small cracks in his plan, clues that would eventually lead them closer to locating him and rescuing Elon Musk's daughter. What had initially appeared to be an impossible crime was slowly being unraveled, but the chilling reality remained. The kidnapper was brilliant, dangerous, and far from ordinary, making the hunt as psychologically complex as it was physically demanding. The investigation into Elon Musk's daughter's kidnapping quickly became a race against time. Authorities knew that the longer the child remained in the kidnapper's control, the greater the danger. Federal investigators, local law enforcement, and private security teams joined forces, pooling resources, expertise, and intelligence to track down the suspect. Every detail mattered. Digital footprints, financial transactions, eyewitness accounts, even subtle inconsistencies in his movements. The kidnapper had been careful, leaving almost no trace behind. He avoided cameras, traveled in unremarkable vehicles, and even masked his digital presence. But investigators were relentless. Analysts sifted through mountains of data, piecing together patterns and cross-referencing information that could reveal his location. It was a complex game of cat and mouse, with the stakes higher than almost any case in recent memory. Surveillance footage from nearby streets and neighborhoods provided fragments of his movements, and detectives worked tirelessly to identify vehicles, license plates, and potential accomplices. Every tip-line call was investigated, every lead verified. False information flooded the operation, but the investigative teams remained focused, knowing that even a small breakthrough could bring them one step closer to the child. Law enforcement also began examining his network and habits, attempting to predict his next move. They studied his previous criminal activity, looking for patterns that might indicate where he would hide or how he would attempt to evade capture. Each discovery provided insight into his cunning mind, helping authorities narrow down possible locations where he might be holding Elon Musk's daughter. Psychologists and profilers were brought in to understand the suspect's motives and behavior. They determined that he was highly intelligent, patient, and adaptable. Unlike impulsive criminals, he could anticipate the investigators' responses and modify his plan accordingly. This made the investigation not only a search for a missing child, but also a psychological battle against a dangerous and unpredictable mind. Meanwhile, the world watched anxiously. Social media buzzed with speculation, news channels updated constantly, and fans of Elon Musk anxiously awaited any sign of hope. Behind the scenes, authorities worked tirelessly, connecting seemingly unrelated clues, analyzing digital data, and using advanced technology to map potential escape routes. Every detail, no matter how minor, was critical. The operation became a delicate balance of speed and precision. One wrong step could put the child's life at risk. Investigators needed to anticipate every move of a criminal who had spent months, perhaps years, preparing for this exact moment. Slowly but surely, they began closing in, narrowing the search areas and identifying the places where the kidnapper could be hiding. With every passing hour, the tension grew. It was a high-stakes chase, a combination of strategy, technology, and human intuition. Every clue brought them closer to the truth, but the danger remained palpable. The world held its breath, knowing that the resolution of this case would be nothing short of extraordinary. After weeks of painstaking investigation, authorities finally narrowed down the suspect's location. Every lead, every piece of evidence had brought them closer to the man who had audaciously kidnapped Elon Musk's daughter. It was a remote, secluded area, carefully chosen by the kidnapper to evade detection, but his meticulous planning had met its match in the relentless work of law enforcement. Elite teams were assembled, prepared for a delicate operation that would require precision, speed, and above all, caution to ensure the child's safety. The moment of the arrest was tense. Surveillance had confirmed the suspect's presence, but no one knew how he would react when confronted. Inside the operation room, every team member held their breath as final preparations were made. Authorities coordinated entry points, escape contingencies, and safety measures with military-style precision. They knew that a single mistake could endanger the child, and they were determined to avoid it at all costs. As officers approached, the suspect initially resisted. He displayed the cunning that had allowed him to evade capture for so long, attempting to manipulate and misdirect law enforcement. But the combined efforts of elite tactical units proved overwhelming. He was finally subdued, handcuffed, and taken into custody, his carefully constructed plan unraveling before his eyes. The relief was palpable. After weeks of uncertainty and fear, the child was safe, and the criminal was behind bars. Authorities revealed the shocking level of planning that had gone into the crime. The kidnapper had mapped escape routes, prepared safe houses, and monitored the family's routines with obsessive attention. He had considered every contingency, leaving almost no evidence behind, yet even the most sophisticated measures could not withstand the meticulous work of investigators determined to bring him to justice. Following the arrest, investigators began to piece together the timeline of the abduction. They described how he had exploited tiny vulnerabilities, relied on a network of contacts, and leveraged technology to remain one step ahead. The psychological pressure placed on the family, combined with his methodical approach, made this one of the most daring and sophisticated kidnappings in recent history. The arrest not only brought relief to Elon Musk and his family, but also sent a message to the world about the capabilities of law enforcement. It was a triumph of skill, strategy, and perseverance. Experts noted that while the suspect had exhibited extreme intelligence and cunning, his fixation and obsession had ultimately been his downfall. As the child was safely reunited with her family, the world breathed a collective sigh of relief. What had begun as a terrifying nightmare ended with justice and security restored. The operation demonstrated the lengths to which authorities must go to protect high-profile families, and the extraordinary measures required to confront a criminal mind as dangerous and calculated as this one. With the kidnapper finally in custody, the most pressing question remained, why target Elon Musk's daughter? Investigators delved into his background, motives, and mindset, uncovering a complex web of obsession, greed, and personal vendetta. While financial gain played a role, experts revealed that his fixation on the Musk family went far beyond money. He had spent months studying every aspect of their lives, routines, habits, social media, and public appearances, carefully planning each step of the abduction to maximize his control and influence over the situation. Psychologists and criminal profilers examined his actions, noting that the crime reflected a deeply troubled and calculating mind. Unlike typical criminals driven purely by desperation, he had meticulously orchestrated the kidnapping, demonstrating intelligence, patience, and adaptability. Each decision, from the timing of the abduction to the choice of hiding locations, revealed a man capable of thinking several steps ahead, anticipating both the family's and the authorities' responses. Investigators also uncovered evidence that he had harbored personal grievances against Elon Musk and his ventures. While the exact details remained partially confidential, some reports suggested that he felt wronged or overlooked, fueling a dangerous obsession that culminated in this audacious crime. His goal appeared to be not only financial gain, but also the psychological satisfaction of striking at one of the world's most high-profile families. As authorities pieced together the full story, the public learned about the extraordinary precautions taken to rescue the child. Elite teams coordinated their efforts, combining digital forensics, surveillance, and tactical operations to ensure a safe resolution. Every move had been calculated to minimize risk, and the successful conclusion underscored the skill, dedication, and determination of law enforcement agencies involved. The aftermath was a mixture of relief, reflection, and heightened security. Elon Musk's family prioritized safety measures, reassessing vulnerabilities and reinforcing protection. Meanwhile, the kidnapper faced a criminal justice system prepared to hold him accountable for his meticulously planned crime. His arrest and prosecution served as both justice for the family and a warning to others who might consider targeting high-profile individuals. This case highlighted the dark lengths some criminals will go to pursue obsession, power, or revenge, and the extraordinary efforts required to counter such threats. The kidnapping of Elon Musk's daughter was not merely a crime. It was a calculated high-stakes challenge against one of the world's most protected families. Yet through skill, intelligence, and relentless determination, authorities ensured that the story ended with safety, justice, and the revelation of the chilling truth behind the motive. The world now knows not only the danger posed by a calculating criminal mind, but also the incredible resilience and resourcefulness of those dedicated to protecting the innocent and bringing the guilty to justice.